Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the 2023 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Huge shout out to Randy Marion Chevrolet for providing this muscle car for me today. Be sure to check out their website. That link is down in the description. So the Camaro that you see behind me is finished off in black, and we'll go over the MSRP once we go over all of the specs and features and get this muscle car out on the road. So let's start off with what powers the ZL1. Underneath the hood is the 6.2 liter supercharged V8 paired to the 6-speed manual transmission. It pumps out 650 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque. That power sent to the rear wheels. This weighs in just shy of 4,000 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds with a top speed just under 200 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 19 gallons. You'll expect to see around 14 miles per gallon in the city, 20 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 110.7 inches. Its overall length is 190.2. It has a width of 75 and a height of 52.9 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this Camaro, with the ZL1 package, it definitely gives it a very aggressive front end design. We'll start off with the Chevy bow tie badge right in the middle, which is hollow to give this a lot more cooling, along with the rest of the cutouts in the upper section. And then the lower grille has pretty much all of the cutouts that you need to provide a lot more cooling. There's even open air inlets on each sides with part of the DRL down below to provide a lot more cooling. And the lower splitter sticks out a good bit. It's body colored on this model, but it gives it that aggressive look. And with the LED headlights and DRLs having the similar design as that middle grille, very narrow and wide, matches nicely with more of that bodywork just underneath them. Kind of matches the lower splitter with a shelf and in the lower section there. And then very nice lines coming down the hood with the carbon fiber hood scoop basically right in the middle with the ZL1 badge. This is also a functional heat extraction vent, so the airflow can go through the bumper and up over that carbon fiber. Very subtle design too, with the exterior being black, and then the red tow hook is over on that passenger side. Now as we work our way to the side, this has a set of 20-inch wheels. They're 10 inches wide up front, 11 inches wide in the rear. Very nice dark gray with the multi-spoke pattern as well. And this even has the Brembo brake calipers. There's 6 pistons up front and 4 pistons in the rear. As you can tell, the rest of this is pretty much blacked out with the window tint, all of the black trim surrounding the windows as well. There's even a carbon fiber trim piece, which is an aftermarket piece for this particular model on the inside of that mirror cap there. There's no sunroof for this model, but even finished off in black, I think it has a great look. It makes a lot of these lines pop, especially that line in the lower section of the door, one just underneath the door handle there, leading all the way to another one just above the gas cap. And then we have a little bit wide of a rear fender there to accommodate these 325s for the rear tires. Now in the rear, this has a fixed trunk mounted spoiler finished off in black. There's the light right in the middle there with the Chevy bow tie just underneath it. This has LED taillights with that 3D design to them, which is very classic for the Camaro. You'll see the backup camera along with the parking sensors and the quad tip dual active exhaust. The ZL1 badge is also down below as well. We will start this up in just a second. You will hear how good the ZL1 sounds. So let's work our way to the cargo space, where I can use the button on the key fob or the hidden button up underneath to release this trunk, which is very practical to have. Now, as you can tell, I have some items in the back. It'll give you a good perspective with how much you can fit in the back here. You can even fold down the back seats too, so that gives you a lot more space. Now, the one thing with the Camaro is that the opening is a little bit narrow compared to how much space you actually have in here. So you can wiggle some items in, and as long as you can get them through this opening, you definitely have plenty of space. Now, there's no grab handle up top, so I can simply just grab the trunk lid, use the spoiler there, and I can easily close it. And as we work our way to the interior, you can use this silver button to open and close the door. It'd be nice if that was blacked out. Just a personal taste. And then for this interior, the door panel is completely covered in alcantara with all of the red stitching. There's the window controls, the side mirror adjustments, Bose audio, even the memory seating adjustments, and a carbon fiber trim piece surrounding the release handle with lock and unlock. There's also a little bit of storage in the back of the door there. And then we have a trunk release button. Beautiful door panel, complements the leather and alcantara seats very nicely. These are Recaro bucket seats with the ZL1 badge all of the red stitching. They're automatic seats too, and then Camaro is spelled out down on the door sill. Now let's work our way to the back seats. Now you're not buying this to be a full 4-seater vehicle, but in order to gain access to the back, you have that tab there for the backrest, and then from there I can move this seat forwards to give me a little bit more legroom. At 5'10", I can crawl my way into these back seats where you have a wireless charging pad right in the middle there. As you can tell with the passenger seat all the way back, legroom is non-existent and my head is up against the headliner. So like I said, you're not buying this to be a full 4-seater, but if I had to be back here around town, 5-10 minutes, something like that, you have that usability. You also have a lot more interior storage, and then with the back folded down, of course, you have a lot more interior space. So I do like to see that. The entire piece is one section, and you still get the same attention to detail with the leather and the alcantara. Very nice to see that. A little bit of a pillar right there, but you do have good visibility on both sides. And there's some speakers back here along with the small armrest too. So if you do have backseat passengers, they can wiggle their way back there. And then from there, we can slide this seat back and start looking at this beautiful interior. So you can already see some of the red accents, which are not factory. So those were added. You can see them on the rev matching paddles on both sides. And then this also has alcantara for the steering wheel, more of that red stitching, the ZL1 badge, and a flat bottom design to it. On this left side, you'll see all the cruise control settings along with the heated steering wheel button. And then on the right side, you can use all of these for that gauge cluster. So let's fire up this ZL1 with my foot on the brake and the clutch. Let's bring this to life. And on the gauge cluster, the tach is on the left side, miles per hour are on that right side. And then within the LCD system in the middle, the upper section is fixed. So you'll see fuel level along with some engine temp and vitals. And underneath that, you can go through a lot more information. There's the miles per hour. You can look at trip information as well. You can even go to your fuel range, your instant fuel economy, and look at some other vitals, including TPMS. So you can monitor all of that. There's even a blank page too. And then when we go back to the miles per hour, you'll notice too that there's some arrows where you can reset everything just by pushing it to the right there. And if I go to the left, now we have basically the home screen. So I went through all that info. You even have performance that you can look into. So you can monitor all of these different vitals just depending on what you need to see and what you're doing for the day. You can look at your limited slip. And again, you have all of these vitals there. Now, if we go back, there's also audio. You can go into the navigation as well. So you can pull up your turn-by-turn directions along with the compass, look at your phone and different options. You have launch control you can go into and your units for everything else. So it's nice that you have that amount of adjustability within that center system. Now on this left side, you'll also see the heads-up display adjustments. So currently it's showing miles per hour along with the tach. Might be a little bit hard to see that. It's also showing the G-force meter. And if I push on info, I can switch it to miles per hour and showing the audio as well. I can pull up the compass and then we're back to that tach. I think you'll be able to see that. So you have a few different adjustments. There's also one air vent with that red trim. Really cool gauge cluster design as well, covering the gauges there. And then right in the middle, we have the touchscreen system where you have a lot of info to go through. So on the home screen, you have these icons like your phone, your audio, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You can go into some different apps, go into your climates, even the interior ambient lighting. So I did forget to mention that it's in that entire strip running around that trim piece. So you have all of these different colors to go into. You also have Spotify that you can access. And then if you go all the way to this side, we have the split screen for the audio and your phone. And then in the lower section, there are shortcuts to your climates, so you can quickly get into these and adjust all those settings, get to your navigation or your compass there. And then we also have music and phone, so you can quickly adjust those. Now there is a physical button for home that you can easily push on, along with power and volume for the radio, tuning, and then a back button. And then underneath that, this does have heated and ventilated seats, so you will see those adjustments on both sides. There's even the temperature dials, and in order to control those, simply just twist the air vent back and forth, so you can quickly adjust that. Pretty cool to see that integration. There's fan speed, where you like the air to go, and the rest of the controls nicely laid out. Now the hazard control is right in the lower section of both of the air vents. And then for this 6-speed manual, the entire shift boot is finished off in alcantara. If we push this all the way to the right and up, that is for reverse. So you will see the backup camera up here. You can turn on and off the guidelines if you need to. and then we are back to neutral there. Now behind that, there's traction control and the different driving modes. So this has touring, sport, there's also a track setting, and then snow and ice. So if you plan to take your rear wheel drive Camaro out in the snow, you can put it to that setting if you need to. There's also a 12 volt, 2 cup holders with more of that ambient lighting, and you have the center armrest with a little bit of storage. There's also 2 auxiliaries back there if you need to charge electronics. Now the glove box has a good amount of space. More alcantara is on that airbag cover. Just a beautiful, beautiful interior for this spec. And then up in the top, there's the dome lights along with some call buttons, and this even has the camera for the rear view mirror there. So that's integrated into the back of the shark fin antenna. So you can see out of that back window right now. However, when you flip this up, you pretty much have no blind spots. It gives you a 180-degree view of what's behind you. As we set off now behind the wheel for the all-new Camaro ZL1, this has a starting MSRP right around $67,000. For what you are getting with the ZL1, 650 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque, I don't think you can really complain with that price point. Now I've seen some other comments on the Camaro with the interior maybe not being as updated as it could be for that money, and honestly, I think you're getting a great interior for this type of vehicle because, let's face it, most people who are buying the ZL1 want that performance. They want all of that power. They want this loud exhaust. We get those pops in it as well. So you're mainly buying this for its performance and what it's capable of doing. Just like this here, we can give it an acceleration now. We have the R888s on the rear of this model here to give us a little bit of extra traction with that rear wheel drive. But yeah, you're buying this because it can be a track monster, it can be a backroads type of vehicle, but it's also comfortable. It can also be a good daily driver. You pop this into tour mode, the exhaust gets much quieter, and you can just take this wherever you need to. So for around $70,000, you're spending more than obviously a basic Camaro, where you could probably get one for the high 20s, maybe they're into the 30s now, somewhere around there. But again, you're getting the performance, the brakes, you're getting the wheels, you are getting that suspension. You can also get the ZL1 with the 1LE package. So the 1LE will give you even more goodies than what is on this 1LE. So let's call this the standard or the basic 1LE. Because you have a lot of room for others. Now, as far as a 3-point turn goes, even with a manual here, it's actually pretty decent. Steering is pretty tight here, which is what you would want for a car like this. I love how that sounds. One thing that I will say though that I'm not a huge fan of is the paddle shifters. On this model, we have the upgraded paddles to make them much larger, but they are just for your rev matching. So you can use both of them to turn on the active rev matching. So you can use either one. Kind of redundant to still have those paddles like that, but they're there. You can use them if you want to. The pedal box though, for the gas pedal, the brake, I can clearly touch both of them with my left foot, and then obviously I have the clutch. So it's easy to rev match yourself, but if it's not something that you know how to do or you're learning to do it, you can have that on if you want to. So, all right, here we go. We get some pops in that exhaust. Boy, does it sound good. This is just a really fun muscle car to drive. Of the three, I think this is probably my favorite. I don't see a whole lot of Camaros a lot, so I like the more rare factor that they do have compared to the Mustang or the Challenger. I just don't see a lot of Camaros. And to me, I think they sound the best. I think this is a really good option to go with. It's very, very practical, has a good amount of space to it. And with a mild acceleration, this has so much power. And we get some pops in that exhaust. I'll try to do that once we turn on this road here to get them to pop more. But from this angle, you can also see the camera system in the rear view mirror, incredibly helpful for this. Now, like I said earlier, visibility is not all that hard. I own an R8 and it's much smaller on the interior than this. So I have no issues with the visibility. I wouldn't let that stop you from buying the Camaro, because the more you drive a vehicle, the more you understand, you know, where your blind spots are and where you need to look. So yeah, I love this interior with all the alcantara. It looks so good. And I think for just under 70 grand, you have a lot of nice materials to give you that upscale look. And you have this exhaust, ready? There we go. That does not get old with that supercharged V8. But let's give it another acceleration here from first gear. Here we go. Not the most aggressive. Boy, does it sound good. I will say the shifter is super notchy too, and I mean that in a good way. I really like how engaging this is to get it into that next gear, so you know you are in whichever gear you're going to. So I love how it has a short throw style to it. Clutch pedal is super light, so you could daily drive this muscle car and just have a good all-around vehicle. If this is your only vehicle, like I said, it's pretty practical for the amount of space that you do get with this. And it's not crazy loud I mean, you can hear, hopefully you've been able to hear the pops and everything from that exhaust, but it's not so loud where there's a drone or you just don't want to drive it every day. I think it has a good tone to it to be a daily driver and to have the fun that you want with the spirited driving for this car. So I think it's a really good blend between everything. One thing I also wanted to talk about is the gear skipping. So I am going very, very slow in first gear, and it will actually pop up on the screen to show you that you can go from first to fourth in order to save on your MPG. So it actually tells you to skip gears. Now, it doesn't lock you out of second like in some of the Camaros that I have seen, or sorry, the Corvettes that I've seen, where it will actually lock you out. And when you go from first, it will push you over into fourth gear. So that is something that this vehicle will tell you to do depending on your driving. So I'm going very, very slow right now, so it wants to go to a higher gear to keep the RPM range low. So interesting to see that. We just have a lot of comments about skipping gears. Chevrolet actually has that incorporated into some of their manuals for some better fuel efficiency. And with one last acceleration, we're gonna finish up today's review here. And I think that is going to wrap it up for the 2023 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Once again, huge shout out to Randy Marion Chevrolet for providing this muscle car for me today. Check out their website, that link is down in the description. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.